due. They are way too sensitive questions, okay? When it comes to conversations at the same time too, you don't want to come across as a braggalog. There are some people that will actually name drop in conversations because they want you to feel that they are a little bit higher than they probably are. There are some people that will brag and they're talking about themselves through and through. The key thing about conversation etiquette is the art of listening. So even if you don't like what they're saying, nod your head as if, you know, you're there, you're present, show a bit of interest. If at the end of the day you don't like the conversation and it's a networking gathering, you can slowly and slightly move yourself out of that and join another group of people, or join someone else, or look for someone else to talk to. But when it comes to conversations, the truth is you do some talking, you do some listening, and vice versa. Don't be the one that is talking all along, because we call that being braggalog. Even when you're listening to, you can now say things like, oh really, oh wow, that's nice. Throw in one or two things and stop and listen as well. The true art of a good conversation is really about listening, okay? Also, when it comes to having conversations, there's a lot of mistakes we make. Sometimes you may think you're having a conversation, but you're actually gossiping. You're gossiping.
So how do you draw the line between a conversation and gossip?
No, gossip is still a conversation. But it's negative.
It's a kind of conversation.
It's negative conversation. And you know what they say? The walls do have ears. All right? So you don't want to come across boasting. And when you're having a conversation as well, be careful not to swear. You know, some people swear in a conversation and think it's cool. And they think it's cool, like the F word. It's a no-no. It's really a no-no. And don't come across as criticizing either, because you can have a conversation and all you're doing is criticizing, you're even complaining, or you're being very sarcastic. And you have to be very mindful when it comes to conversations and not be in that way. Again, don't talk about things that are unsolicited. Don't talk about things that are very controversial, because even if you think nobody is around listening, even among the people you're talking with, you'll be surprised how that one thing that you said can be taken out of there, exaggerated, and you will be quoted. So you might have said something and you didn't mean much about it, but trust me, when they say some rumors spreading like fire in the bush, when it gets to the next person, they sugarcoat it, and before you know it, by the time it gets back to you, you'll be like, I never said that. But guess what? You did say something in line of that, and then it was just blown out of proportion. So be sensitive as to, even when you're talking with people, be mindful of who you are with when you're talking. You can't trust anyone, you know. And sometimes people like gist. People like gist, and people like juicy gist for that matter, and therefore they will just take it out of proportion. So you have to be mindful. I wanted to say things when it comes to having conversations. Again, there are some mistakes that we can make. Sometimes you're criticizing, sometimes you are diagnosing, sometimes you're advising, and you're giving unsolicited advice. Sometimes you're ordering somebody, sometimes you're threatening somebody. Sometimes you could even be diverting the conversation. Somebody asks you a question and you're diverting, you know. Or sometimes it's a case of you're having a logical argument, but it gets out of proportion. When you find a conversation that you're in becoming controversial, trust me, just step out of it. Step out of it so that it doesn't blow out of proportion as usual.
Good advice, yes. And end up in a
So I'm going to end up by asking you quick questions, and I want to believe that you're going to answer me quickly and say the same thing. So in a conversation, someone says, like I asked you before, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody gives you a compliment.
Thank you very much.
Somebody says, oh, thank you for that gift.
My pleasure.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, somebody says, oh, so you're expecting to hear good news. Oh, or somebody says, someone's getting married, for instance. So they said, oh, I'm getting married. I'm getting married soon. My wedding day is in 2 weeks' time.
I'll answer that question when we come back after the break. Please don't go away.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry. This is your 12 o'clock.
Sorry. We mentioned a couple of event planners before coming here, and it's okay. We met a couple of event planners before coming here. That was very and you wouldn't believe it. The lady we met, Amara, with a beauty. When I asked her, what can you make? What can you cook? Amala with everything. For our kind of event, like serious. That's not for our kind of event. I can't. I should eat any there. I said, okay, what are you doing? Couple, not white. My brother. I don't know. I don't understand. Let's go back to my client right now. What other thing can you?
Today we're in the lounge of a hotel, otherwise known as a hotel lobby. There are always going to be times when you need to use the facilities of a hotel, whether you're on an international business assignment or you're in the hotel lounge for a local business meeting. It's important for you to know how to conduct yourself while you're in such environments. Now, this young gentleman, he has literally turned the hotel lounge into his private study. He has so many things littered all over the table. He has his files, he has papers, he has all his folders. He even has tea and 2 bottles of water, not to mention 2 laptops on the same table. Talking about the laptop, he's making so much noise while he's using the laptop, forgetting that there are other hotel users around him. What about the 2 young ladies that stepped in for the meeting? Their voices were so loud as they stepped in. You have to be careful to keep the tone of your voices down. Your ringtone, ladies and gentlemen, know the kind of ringtone that you have on your phone. Use one that is not distracting at all. It's important because you have to respect the privacy of other hotel users.
I need to use the restroom. Do you need to use the restroom? Sorry. We're right behind. So, use the restroom.
You just got here using your restroom.
Sorry.
Well, from a hotel lounge to a private study, and then finally, he has just made it into his personal living room. What's that all about? Putting your feet on the table in a public place? Resting as if you're about to sleep? That's a complete no-no. And as if the table isn't untidy enough, the ladies have also left their own.
Okay, so we're rounding up moments with Janet. So, Janet, you're asking a question. I'm getting married in 2 weeks.
Just imagine we're having a conversation and I say to you, oh, my wedding day is in 2 weeks' time. So what would you say?
Congratulations.
Yes.
Where's it happening?
Oh.
Are we invited?
Absolutely. Okay, just imagine if somebody asks you a personal question now.
Such as?
Well, I don't see a ring on your hand, so I say, are you married?
Yeah.
That's pretty personal.
Why would anybody meet you and ask you that?
Well, you'd be surprised.
But if you ask me if I am married, I could say yes. And if I don't want to, I'll tell you. Well, my business.
So I say, okay, how many children do you have?
None of you.
Hello?
What if I said
God's bits of wood.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And somebody says, have you ever been divorced before?
Of course not.
Exactly. And then you walk away because
That's hardly your business.
Oh, you do? Excuse me?
Yes, that's it. Excuse me.
That's right.
Anyway, conversations, you know, the way you start them or the way you finish them, you always have to end your conversations either with an exchange of a card or exchange of a telephone number, because you never know where you can meet that person again.
All in all.
Phew. Thank you, Janet. Wow. Sometimes your segments are so interesting. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
We have learnt a few tips today.
Yeah.
How to break ice when you meet somebody for the first time, you know. JanetAdetu, etiquette coach. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with our home stretch in just a moment. And
The cat is coming out of the bag.
Yeah, we've seen its tail. It itself is coming out of the bag now.